Conversations across time. Conversations across time.
Good evening. Welcome to another segment of Conversations Across Time, the show that doesn't tell you what to think, but we just try to aim to make sure that you are thinking. As you know, we always pay homage to Edward R. Murrow, who made the statement, when the citizens behave as sheep, the government will behave as wolves. And certainly that is what we think we are experiencing today. So tonight, this is a special segment, and I am joined by Conversations Across Time show historian Mark Hoffman.
Great to be here.
As always, my co-host is former Democratic State Representative Babette Josephs. Welcome, Babby.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very happy to be here as well.
Well, I'm happy because I think this is going to be interesting for the audience in that this is a little different focus. What I want to start off with is that our audience, you may not know that Mark is a retired teacher, retired school teacher. Babette is a former school teacher. And I am also I think once a teacher, always a teacher. I am a special ed teacher. So that it brought to mind, when I was looking at our president, something came to my mind, and I want to share that story. I want to share it with you guys. And that is that many years ago when I was student teaching, there was as a student teacher, you know, you're the lowest on the totem pole.
Absolutely.
You know what that is. So you go into the schools, and the regular teachers want to give you their problems to work one-on-one with. They just want you to get the problem out of the classroom. And so I was working with a young man who I would define as, I think that the best way to have the audience understand it would be educationally trainable. And his name was Ronald. And Ronald was really a wonderful little boy, but Ronald, for some reason, got it in his head that he was a dog. And he would pretend during class that he was a dog and bark. Mm. So when I was presented with Ronald, he never barked with me, but I sort of, as you know, young teachers, you always think you have an idea. And I guess coming from Temple University, where behavior modification was a big deal. So I thought, well, let me see if I can help Ronald. So one day I came to class, I called Ronald's mother, I walked him home a couple times, so his mother was used to seeing me, and she was somewhat amazed the first time I called her because she was so used to hearing from school when there was a problem. So when I called to say, oh, Ronald had a good day today, she sort of softened. So I came up with the idea. I bought a leash and a dog collar. And I called his mother and said that I would be bringing Ronald home after school, but I wanted him to work with me for a little bit. And so I put the dog collar on Ronald, and he sat there smiling as I put it on him. Then I put the leash on him, and he was still animated. And I said, come on, Ronald, we're going to take a walk. So before we went to take the walk, I gave him a picture of a dog. And I said, you dog? Yeah, me dog, me dog. So we walked to the hallway, and I said, see the dog? You got to walk like the dog. So he got down on all fours, and we just walked down the hallway. And at first he thought it was fun. Then after a while, his arms got tight. And
his knees got scraped.
And his knees got scraped. This was this old school in North Philadelphia with those concrete block floors. So when we got to the end of the hall, there wasn't anyone else. All the kids were gone. The teachers were gone. Just Ronald and I and the cleaning staff. We got to the end of the hall, and I opened the double doors to head towards the stairwell. And Ronald looked at me as if, what, have you lost your mind? And I, come on, Ronald, your dog, come on. And he looked at me, he said, Ronald hurt, and he stood up and told me he hurt. I said, okay. So I took the collar off, and we went back to the classroom. And I showed him a picture of a boy. And in those days, the only pictures of a little boy would be a little white boy. But I colored this kid in to make him look brown like Ronald. And I said, boy. And I showed him a picture of the dog that I had. And I said, boy, dog, boy, dog. And Ronald said, boy, dog, boy, dog. So I said, come on, Ronald, it's time to go. So I walked him home. And we're walking down the street, and he's holding my hand. He was such a sweet little kid. And he said, boy, dog, boy, dog, boy. He was saying that all the way home. So I got him home, and I thanked his mother, and I said, well, we had a good time. We had a good lesson, and I left. Now, to this day, I can't tell you what triggered in Ronald's mind or what happened. I just know that the teachers were amazed Ronald stopped barking, which was indeed what we wanted to do. That being said, Ronald, educationally trainable. That's how we're describing him. You're a former school teacher. Mark is a former school teacher. And I'm a former school teacher. So it occurs to me that perhaps we had a boy, Ronald was a boy that thought he was a dog, and you'll see where I'm headed with this.
Yes.
We now have a president that thinks he's a king.
So you're saying Ronald rhymes with Donald?
Well, yes, Ronald and Donald, yes, exactly.
And you're saying that he's educationable.
Yeah.
I think he can be trained, and that to that end.
I think that's an assumption that is not warranted necessarily.
Well, we're going to try.
but
Babette,
we
we're going
can
to try. Here's what we're going to do.
As teachers, we always think we
We
can
always
educate.
think. There we go.
Right?
There we go.
So
Maybe we can help Ronald. So
you
what?
help Ronald, and maybe we can help Donald.
Exactly. Maybe we can help
But
Donald.
we can certainly tell people and tell him where we think he should go and what he should be learning.
Well,
and
this
what
is
he doesn't
this is
know.
what we're going to do. So I have this idea. Now I want to know if you buy into this. We are going to invite President Trump to Philadelphia. I thought this is a country seat. This is where the country started. So
Right.
what better place for him to get these lessons than to come to Philadelphia? What do you think, Mark?
I think it's great, but doesn't he have to get permission?
Oh, well wait a minute.
I mean,
Listen.
he's not a
Not to be outdone, I have, I'm a school district lawyer, so I know
Right.
how to do this. I've got a parent permission slip, parent or guardian. So his parents are dead. So he's got to get a guardian to sign this.
God knows who that might be.
Well,
How about Steve Bannon? Maybe Stevie will sign it.
Steve Bannon, because Steve Bannon is his daddy.
Right.
Steve Bannon is his advisor.
He's his daddy
Well, he
figure.
could
He's his
si-
daddy.
Steve Bannon could sign it, and
And that's right. So
maybe
here we
could
go.
fax it over to the Kremlin and get Putin to sign it.
Oh, we get both.
Yeah, Bannon and Putin. They're both his daddies.
There we go. There we go. And bring him here and give him a lesson. I mean, Mark, first of all, as a civics teacher, as a history teacher.
He could have not. I taught government civics for 40 years. And I say to this audience, and I say to Vivienne and Babette, he could not have passed my 12th grade civics course. He does not know what separation of powers means.
Oh, well, wait a minute. We've got some little things for
Oh,
him.
okay,
In
good.
addition to the parent permission slip, here's what we have. Look at this. What do you think? We got a chart, and it's colorful because, special needs, these bright colors, these primary colors would make him feel good.
Well, no, he needs that because,
Right.
in fact, all the advisors said he only take national security briefings one page with no more than 8 bullet points on it. So that fits right into what he's capable of learning. I mean, we know that these national security briefings can only be 1 page with no more than 8 bullet points.
Does he need little animals beside it?
Probably, but he doesn't know that. So when he comes to Philadelphia, if we can get him here,
Yes.
that would be one of the first things that he would have to learn. That the separation of powers in
Take
our
him to
government.
Independence Hall and explain to him what happened there.
Yeah,
And we can take him to the first federal courthouse because he seems not to understand that.
doesn't know the role of the courts.
No. He doesn't get the fact that our founding fathers, which is why another guest who we're going to invite to come back is Abigail Adams, because Abigail, she'll be great. Remember, she'd be great to help him out. She tutored her own children. She homeschooled her own children.
He
And
might not like being tutored by Abigail because she has small breasts and he has big breasts.
wait a minute.
You know what?
Maybe.
You know what I want to say to Mr. Trump when
Yes.
he comes to Philadelphia?
Yes.
Breasts are for babies. If you're hungry, we will buy you a cheesesteak.
Oh, and a mustard pretzel.
And a
mustard.
mustard
There we go. There we go. We'll take care. We'll feed him. He doesn't need the breast.
But let me say, I taught English not as long as you taught history at all. And I don't think he would pass a 12th grade English course. He can't speak the language.
You mean bigly and hugely are not acceptable in your English class?
No.
Well,
Run-on sentences, changing the subject of the sentence before you get to the end of it, changing the topic, changing it again, very confusing. It's supposed to be communicated.
I thought he went to Wharton.
Oh, well, now, wait a minute. let me just say this about this thing with Wharton, because in law school, Babby, I know you were, any time anyone has graduated law school, you must take a course in ethics. And I do not
think
understand.
anyone graduates college. I mean, I didn't go to law school, and as an undergrad, I had a course in ethics and philosophy, of course.
So I'm just, I want to say this, you know, I'm a Temple person, so I don't want to sound, you know, there used to be that battle, but I don't want to sound as though I'm putting Penn down, because I just always thought a lot of Penn because they seem to think so much of themselves. But nevertheless, I want to know.
Right in there, right?
Yes, he fit right in there. But here's the question: do you mean to tell me that Wharton does not have ethics courses that are required?
Here's the thing: he never went to Wharton.
I don't think
He didn't go to Wharton. Well, he tells everybody he went to
Yeah,
Wharton.
he said he went to Wharton, but all he did was take courses offered by Wharton. So if I went to Penn and took an economics course, that course is offered by professors from Wharton. But he was never admitted to the program, and then he also claimed.
Wait. Let me just hold on for a moment. Because in his resume, whenever he talks about himself, he says, "And I went to Wharton." It never, of course.
I went to Wharton too, because I took a course there one time.
So that's the extent. So he didn't graduate from Wharton.
No.
and
Was he ever admitted?
And he said he was tops in the class, and he was nowhere. It wasn't even in the program, and he wasn't even tops in his class in his undergrad at Penn. So he needs to come to Philadelphia and get further educated, because
We need to take him out to Penn so they can straighten him out.
Well, you're right. There's no point at all in paying any attention to what he says about himself or anything else, because finally the press is starting to say it. The president lies.
the other thing is, in my course, in civics and government, not only do you have to know
Ethics.
separation of powers, but you need to know checks and balances
Okay,
as well.
so
we
let
need to
me-
school them in that as well.
So let me ask you this: when we are designing this lesson plan for him, we are going to acquaint him with the Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, letting him know that clearly the legislative branch, branch's under Article 1
Has a
role. The executive branch has a role
And especially Article 3 with the courts.
with the courts.
And the courts have a role.
And they all fall under the penumbra, and they all bow and pay homage to what? The United States Constitution. And he doesn't know that.
Right. In fact,
He
if
has
he
no
were
idea
in,
what's in the Constitution, nor does he seem to care in the least.
if he were in my class,
Yes.
one of the things I would do was have him write on the board.
Oh.
You know, the old punishment, you had to write.
You have to write
something on the
something
board.
100 times, yes.
I would write on the board. I call him Ducky, because like when you have students, sometimes you have nicknames.
Yes,
for them.
exactly.
So I would call him Ducky. Ducky, write on the board, I must read the Constitution.
Oh, now, wait a minute. So in his package, we're sending him the parent permission slip. We're going to send him a little chart about the separation of powers. This is just so that when he shows up, he can at least be familiar with what it is he's going to learn. And we're going to send him a copy of the United States Constitution.
In fact, the Gold
Khan
Star
family?
father
Yes.
Yes.
told him he needs to read it as well.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know,
I think we might be assuming a fact
that he can read.
here that is not in evidence
Oh, my.
that he can read. Exactly.
Well,
the fact that he can stand to peruse a single sheet of paper with 8 items on it, and that's it, leads one to believe that he's not a very good reader. Or
Well, he
perhaps
admits he
not
doesn't
a-
read.
Yeah, it
He
doesn't.
admit,
He watches Fox News is where he gets his news from. And I guess he doesn't read any business news or anything like that.
I want to tell you what's interesting. Some years ago, my mother and my brother were having dinner at a restaurant in New York, Little Italy. And they were sitting there and they were having their first course, and it was soup. And they were eating, and there were 3 guys sitting at a table near them. And one of them, this was during the time, do you remember when Donald Trump, when a lot of his executives went down on a helicopter in New Jersey? that they were on a helicopter, they were being transported someplace, and
Probably the casino.
the helicopter crashed. And one of the guys said, you know, he really is a lucky SOB, because he was supposed to be on that helicopter. And the other one said, oh, it don't matter, he got the message. And my mother and my brother were sitting there eating their soup, and my brother said to my mother, did you hear what those guys over there just said? And she said, mm-hmm. And she said, the soup is good. The soup is good. She didn't want to look in their direction. So certainly we know that, smart woman, certainly we know that, now I don't know whether or not who those guys were, because they never looked at them, never looked in their direction, but they certainly seem to indicate that the helicopter crash was something that Donald was supposed to be on, and it was probably orchestrated. So I think that Donald is somebody that he needs big examples. You know, with special needs children, some of them, in order to get something ingrained in them, you have to give them a big example. Like Ronald with walking on all fours, realized he wasn't a dog.
Right.
No, so
maybe you need to walk Donald.
Oh,
Yes, I was
let's walk in.
around
Philadelphia.
and make sure he doesn't think he's king. He's only president.
And ask people on the street, do you think I'm the king or am I the president?
Right.
Well, here's the thing. When we talk about,
Philadelphians, I know what
well, you know what they'll say. You know what they'll say. But
it's not repeatable on TV.
King this, they'll say.
yes.
Exactly right.
But when we start talking about, and there's a chart that we put up, just so that the audience can see it, when you talk about the difference between a monarch or king and the president. Well, as we know, the president is elected to office, and the kings come to office, they inherit the office. The king is the absolute rule. And in some instances, the absolute ruler, and they may have like Hitler had that federal parliament, you know, he had this parliamentary procedure, but it was just, he was
but the old-fashioned
Yes.
idea of what a monarch is certainly is
Yes.
how you describe.
And that's king, and this is why Trump seems to think he's a king. For instance, what does a monarch do? He rewards, his relationships are quid pro quo. So now let's look at his cabinet.
Also, they take care of their family. They put their
There
family.
you go.
They make themselves rich at the expense of the people they are supposed to govern or rule over. I mean, he has all
the
in
markings
his
of a
mind,
king.
all the trappings of a monarchy.
Yes.
In what is supposed to be a democratic separation of power system. And in fact, he's making money off of his position, which is against the Constitution, goes against the emoluments clause.
Yes.
And I mean, people, his sons making money with business deals in foreign countries.
Yes.
He already got the Trump brand name okayed for China once he articulated the one China policy right there. I mean, that goes. He talked to the woman president of Taiwan, which I don't think he even knows. He thinks Taiwan is probably a side dish in the Chinese restaurant. But he talked to the woman president of Taiwan, and then everybody thought he was going to
Recognize Taiwan, yes.
Right, and then he abandoned that and recognized one China policy, and at the same time, China authorized his brand in China. The name Trump is registered in China, and so
All that's what a king. That's what a king
Right.
can do.
Right, and of course there's the separation of powers that we showed on the chart, but there's also states.
right.
States have
We
powers.
got federal system too. He
Yes.
doesn't understand that.
He doesn't have the
No.
faintest idea that governors
They're,
have.
they're, al- they're already
autonomy.
tramping on federalism by, number one, vigorously enforcing the federal marijuana laws that go
Over
against
the
some
state.
over
The
the state
states, yes.
marijuana laws. They're already tramping on federalism by Sessions talking about the LBG bathrooms,
Oh.
and they're not doing it, which is a state issue.
Yes.
So they're already trampling
They're already
on federalism.
exactly.
Right, they're already trampling. He says, when the court ruled against him, he went nuts and called what does this judge know? And he doesn't want national security. So he doesn't understand
So-called
the
judge.
supremacy of law, and everyone in our country is responsible for the law. That's why I told you he would get an F in my course.
Yes.
In fact, if there
yes.
were a lower grade than an F,
Then he would get that.
Well, he wouldn't pass English either.
Well,
But-
as a
but-
special needs teacher, I would
we-
feel like I could
you
help
know,
him.
That's really where he's at, and I think you do have to lead him around by your leash and collar.
You know what, though? I think he might like it.
You know the well depends how
You know what that
masochistic
dossier
he is.
said about
That's
the
right.
Russian hookers.
That's right.
Right. He needs to I think it's to the point where he doesn't really understand what a government is.
Right.
He thinks that the United States is a business. He's the
CEO.
chief or the chief financial officer, and he's going to direct his business to making profits
Well, but
for himself
let me,
and his family.
Babette, let me just ask you a question
That's
because
his idea of government,
his
I believe.
his whole notion, his friends. If you look at his cabinet, and you look at the people that are in position, we talked about this once before. Mark, you and Irv Matnick and I were having this conversation, and this is my problem. How do you have someone who has so much disdain for what this country stands for, sitting in the Oval Office? He doesn't have any respect. For instance, those of us that understand this back to, and we've had many guests on this show, and you know how I feel so strongly about this country and the Constitution and what it represents, and how we've had some bad people in government, but the reality is the Constitution is always there protecting us. Now, we've got a president who I don't think has ever read the Constitution.
Oh, I don't think he
We know that. He has to
Never
get.
will.
We have to get him to read it. I don't know how we do it, but he has to read it. I don't think he understands any the conceptual thing. I don't think he's ever read. I think Abby can help him with that. Abigail Adams. I don't think he ever read John Locke or Plato or any.
No.
Yeah,
Are you kidding?
so
He can't read the headlines in the New York
So,
Times.
so the thing is that's the problem, and the people around him, and they admit it. Then that's the scary thing. So if he doesn't know, the people around him who do know, hold the Constitution and our institution in disdain. So
Exactly. They don't
have
think
his
anything
number-
of-
You have
yes.
his #1 advisor, Steve Bannon, who
That's his daddy. Daddy.
Right. Okay,
Daddy B. Daddy B.
We have to say, I think we have to say for the audience, is about as far right Steve Bannon is as you can go. He is about as bigger hater. There isn't any group that Steve Bannon
Doesn't
hate except for white guys like himself,
White, overweight guys.
white overweight guys like himself. He actually, I believe, would kick Trump under the bus in a minute
No doubt about
if
it.
Trump were not the one who is sort of boosting him into
His
this
policies.
power,
Yeah.
this power place. This man is worse than any other world leader we have. He's Bannon and Trump together. They are the worst leaders I believe we have ever had in this country since.
Oh, in this country,
1776.
no, in this country,
And
I
in
agree.
this world, they are the worst global leaders. They are the least reliable, the least willing to tell the truth, the least willing to make compromises that are sensible, and the least hesitant to push the nuclear button.
Which actually is
When Trump gets on the press and says, "Oh, nuclear war, that's
one
really
one of the
something
other things
bad.
we have to educate them besides
That's
the
really
Constitution.
something bad."
Right. I know
He
Bannon
just
knows, but he
figured this
didn't
out.
even know. Trump doesn't even know. He didn't even know in an interview what the nuclear triad is. He didn't know it's submarines, land-based missiles, and the Air Force. He had no idea. So, oh yeah, the nuclear triad. Oh yeah, I guess we have that. That's pretty good. He didn't know what it was. So, see, to me, Bannon's more scary than Trump because
Yes,
Bannon
because has a brain.
Right, he knows better. he knows.
He knows exactly what he's
Exactly.
doing, and Trump is like like a piece of excrement
So we-
in the gutter that is going down the drain. And
Tell us
Steve
how you
Bannon-
really feel down in Babette.
Steve Bannon is pushing him along, and you can imagine how he's pushing this piece of gutter snipe.
So we need to we need
sewer.
to take a shot. It might not work, and we got to overcome Bannon, but we need to take a shot.
So-
Get him here.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and get him schooled in the.
We'll get it. Here's what we'll do. Listen, priority envelope. We're going to send this to President Trump. Donald Trump. I hate to call him president. Okay,
Call him
so
Ducky.
parent permission slip.
No, he isn't.
Parent permission slip.
He's illegitimate. I say the same thing. John, the
I
Congressman.
just call him Mr. Trump.
Okay.
So we've got his parent permission slip now. Separation of power. This is just something. This is material so that when he gets here, he's at least not so far behind.
It's a homework assignment.
This is
that
homework.
We know he won't do.
And the Constitution. And we'll send him a copy of the Constitution. How's that? Does that? Now, I'd like
He
to
was
send him a.
already offered a constitution
Yeah, by
Mr.
Mr.
Khan, yes.
Yeah, Mr. Khan.
But we're gonna mail it U.S. priority mail. Hopefully, it's going to get to the White House. It's going to get to him, and whatever else you think we need to put in there. And there's something else. I'm still.
I think we need an object lesson. We think we need somebody playing Thomas Jefferson or George Washington or something to stand up and school them. Mr. Trump, this is how I thought we should run this country.
Well, we're going to have
What's wrong
Abby
with
talk.
We're going to
to
have
him.
Abigail Adams talk
And
to
That
him.
would do very well.
And she speaks for John, and she knew Tom.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll invite him.
Yeah, she
Yes.
knew him all.
So
We
that's
don't
what we'll
mean
do.
it that way, though. She was pretty straight. She was.
So
She was acquainted with them.
Yeah, yes.
she was. Yeah, she didn't know them in the biblical sense.
Exactly.
How's that? So what we'll do is we'll bring Donald here, and we'll try to
And
help
give him a
him.
cheesesteak and hope he stays off women's breasts.
Yeah, and then
Hope he doesn't grab
to
anybody's
broaden
crotch
his
while he's here.
ethnic, mindset. We'll give him a hoagie and a pizza and some balinces. So we'll broaden his ethnic. We'll give him tacos, pierogies.
Yeah, there we go. We'll give
right?
him a.
We'll
Yes.
give him some hummus.
Some people learn through their stomachs, so though
Well,
I
guess
have my
what?
doubts he will learn through.
He
any
looks like he
form
could
But
learn
that's what I
from
was
his
getting ready
stomach.
to
He
say.
did, yeah.
Babette,
It's all
if he was someone to learn through his stomach, by now he would have a PhD in something.
Yeah.
So we'll invite him here.
And we'll try and make him acceptable as a
And then we have also people that were on previous shows that talked about issues that are current, that we can get him to watch some of our
Well,
previous shows.
yes.
I mean, one of the things I would have him do besides write on the blackboard the Constitution, I think he needs to watch Conversations Across Time on a regular instead of Fox News. He'd be better off
He'd
on
learn
Tuesday night
something.
at 9:30. Plug. and watch Conversations Across
Yes.
Time, and he would get more information to help him govern rather than rule.
Which he doesn't seem to know that distinction.
No, he doesn't, nor does he care, but let's try. Let's try as hard as we can.
We have
Get him
nothing.
here and
We have
teach him
nothing to
something.
lose but our chains.
And I'll listen, you know what? So we're going to bring him here. We're going to bring him to Independence Hall. We're going to walk him around. We're going to teach him something. And you know what?
We're going to introduce him to ordinary Philadelphians,
Yeah.
which will be a shock to him, I think.
I'm happy that you guys think that that's something that we should do.
Yeah, we need to do it.
We'll do it. We'll do it. I'll
you
send
can't
this.
educate everyone, but we have to try.
We have to try. We have
As
to try.
teachers, we always believe that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll send this package off, and what we'll do is next week.
We'll
Hope
see if we got a
we'll
response.
see if we got a response, and maybe we'll get a response from some of our guests. We'll invite our former guests and tell them what it is we want to do and see if they buy in.
That would be great.
Okay.
That's great.
So this has been a little off-color Conversations Across Time. Hope that you have enjoyed it, and let's see if President Trump takes us up on our offer.
Peace, resistance.
Yes. Good night.
Conversations across time. Conversations across time. Conversations across across time, conversations 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 across time.